All right, so today we're going to talk about urban models. In the past, we mostly talked about the U.S. and the models that the U.S. Geographers looked at, starting with development cities post-World War I, going to present day. Today we're mostly going to talk about cities that develop urban models in Europe and Latin America and other places. But first, we're going to start off with talking about how in the U.S. transportation played a role in the development of cities. So in the 1960s, Samuel Borchardt looked at the development of cities historically and came up with the theory of urban evolution, which talks about how the fact that transportation played a role in the development of cities. So what Borchardt argues is the fact that between 1730, when America was still a colony of Great Britain, and Spain, depending on where you were in the U.S., and 1830, when the U.S. is completely on its own, that ships were the mainstay of transportation. Particularly, most of the major cities were along rivers and along the coast on oceans, because the most manufacturing at that point in commerce was taking raw materials and transporting it back to Europe or getting it up and down rivers to the markets. So ships were the main source of transportation, so most of your cities were accessible by water. Starting in the 1830s, with the advent of the steam engine, railroads are going to become key, as well as steamboats. So steamboats are going to allow ships, boats that could not navigate rivers that were pretty hard, rapids and things like that, to go up the Mississippi much faster, and other rivers like that. Railroads going to be able to connect the country across from the east to the west coast much faster than going in a wagon or by horse. So you could carry goods much faster. So between 1830 and 1870, you're going to have cities develop. It's going to open up the west and open up much more the interior of the country as well. And steamboats are going to develop a huge many cities up and down the Mississippi as well. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution here in the U.S. and steel becoming a huge power player, you're going to start to see cities develop along rail lines as well, but also towards the late part of the 1920s with the advent of the car. You're going to start to see roads take off a little bit, and then by the 1930s, 1940s, with roads, the car becoming in, trucks becoming much more of a mainstay vehicle, the horse and buggy being kind of replaced, you're going to see transportation completely revolutionized with roads, interstate highways after World War II, with Eisenhower building the interstate system in the country. Cities are going to morph. Cities are going to really grow where they hadn't grown before, because people moving to the suburbs and the interstate connecting folks and people going all over the country as well. So car will have an impact, and then air travel as well, because of the fact that people can move more freely and cheaper throughout the country much faster. So that is going to have a huge impact as well. All right, comparing American cities to European cities. One, European cities are older, so they having to deal with more people but less space, whereas when the U.S. cities were developed, there was a lot more space to start with that hadn't been there as long. So compared to American cities, you have wealthier folks who still live in the center part of the city, and they live in the suburbs as well, but you will see them in both places, whereas in the U.S., most of your wealthier folks have moved to the suburbs and really no longer reside in the center part of the city. But you do see some of that in some of your major cities, but most of your wealthier folks tend to live outside of the CBD. You also will see the fact that you have got wealthier folks who do live in the city will kind of extend off of the CBD, very much like you see in European cities as well. But you will see more segregation in European cities from the standpoint that earlier on, wealthier and poorer folks lived in the same building. The poorer folks lived in the attic or the basement, and then the wealthier folks lived in between. And that's still kind of the same situation today, where the fact that you have lower income folks live outside the city, so more like in the suburbs, because of public transportation. They can get into the city for work, whether it's by bus or by the metro, things like that. So it is a little bit different. There are some commonalities and some differences. So again, to kind of recap, differences are the fact that unlike American cities, you have wealthy folks in the inner city and in the suburbs. And unlike American cities, most of your poorer folks live outside of the city as opposed to in the inner city, like in America. All right, Latin American model is also called the Ford Griffin model, is based on areas mostly that were colonized by Spain. So most of Latin America, not counting Brazil. And so what you're going to see is very much based on cities in Spain. So what you will have is you will have the CBD right here in the middle, and then you have a marketplace, and then you are going to see areas of the more where you're going to have more of your lower income folks, your squatter settlements on the outer skirts of the city. You'll have your industrial area. So this is kind of more like the sector model in some respects. In the US, you will have your industrial area right here, your marketplace in the middle, so more of your wealthier folks here in the center. And then you will have some sections of the area where you've got government mixed in with it. So you do have kind of a huge mix. So it's kind of more like the sector model in the US to a certain extent. So you do have, again, middle class folks here, more of your poorer folks here on the outside, your industrial sector, and then more of your wealthier folks kind of mixed in the middle. And again, talking a little bit more about Latin America, they do have zones. So the CBD is very similar more to America, and it is more focused as well. You do have your restaurants and your government agencies and all your business services in the CBD. So you don't have as many people living in the suburbs in Latin America, cities outside as you do in America. And what you mostly do see is that the wealth tends to be the closer wealth tends to decrease as you move away from the downtown area. So very much like European cities, most of your wealthier folks live in the interior, and as farther away you move out, the poorer folks become. What you also see is that depending on where you live in Latin America, you do have like squatter settlements. So in Latin American cities, they're called prefectos. In Brazil, they're called favelas. So again, I apologize for my butchering of Portuguese and Spanish there. But in other areas, you do have regions where you can have that transition between more of your lower income areas and your middle income areas. And then the zones of maturity are more where you're going to see your services and your infrastructure development. So like your roads and your public transportation and things like that. All right, so we are going to switch and talk about the Southeast Asian city model now. It's also called the McG model, which is more based on what you would see in Indonesia and places in what we call French Indochina, where like Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and places like that. So what you're going to see, because again, most of these areas, most of your cities are going to be based on ports because again of the access to rivers and ocean at this point. And again, these are mostly cities that were developed by the European colonizers. There obviously were cities here way before the Europeans came in the 17 through 1900s. But when they did, this is what a city would usually look like. So first of all, you're going to have the port. Then you are going to have the areas where you had, when they call aliens, this would be more of where you would see your immigrants that were not natives of that country would live. Then you are also going to have areas of land use, so you'd have the government zone here. So this is kind of more like a sector model to a certain extent, kind of a mixture of a sector and multi-nuclear model. So you've got government, then you've got mixed land, so you might have commercial, some farming there as well, your middle class residency, and then more of your suburbs and squatters kind of mixed in between. And then you've got your agricultural area, and then you've got more of your industrial area as well, depending on where you're living. So your wealthier folks are going to have a very small section, but again, it's going to be segmented and more towards away from the city center. So that's what a Southeast Asian model looks like. And this is just kind of an example of where you would see in south in Bombay today, and then what it looks like. So you are going to see a shift in what it looks like once the Europeans came, and then obviously when it's kind of gone back into their hands, the city is going to shift and change because of the fact that they are going to add their own twist to it. So you will see two CBDs here. You're going to see a shift of the industrial zone. It becomes smaller, and they will again change how the city is set up. Our last model is what we call the African city model. It is more based on cities you would see in North Africa. And a couple of things. One, you'll see a lot of influence from Islam, and you will see a little bit of the influence of European colonizers as well, because this area was heavily colonized by the French. So first of all, what you will see is you will see the market, which is kind of, again, the market area that was that was established before the European colonizers came. You will see the colonial CBD, and then this is more of your traditional CBD. You will see the ethnic neighborhoods. A lot of times in these areas, you will see people divided by ethnicity. You will see some mixed neighborhoods, so different ethnicities mixed in. You will see satellite townships, so these are more like suburbs of the city itself. And again, it's just, so this is kind of the layout here, a little more explanation on the next slide. The mosque is usually in the center. You have open air markets because that is traditionally what you would see in these areas. The cities are usually walled, more for protection, and each family would have high walls and a courtyard and multiple people, multiple generational of a family living in one area, in one compound, I should say. So this is a little bit about models that were not in the U.S. And again, you have the influence of the Europeans as well as how the cities looked before the Europeans arrived, and these models have changed somewhat. So this is a little bit more of exposure to this, and go ahead and try your knowledge now on the sort to see what you remember about these models.